My name is Gloria Guerra and I'm known as Mother's Friend. I wrote a book called Senator Nancy Schaefer and Behind Closed Doors of CPS. I stand here where my past began in the present near Senator Nancy Schaefer from Georgia. My inner thoughts where this took place on December 16, 1990 is when my children were taken by a dirty cop and no social worker was at my home at the time. I faced a criminal court on trumped-up charges and paid a private lawyer $3,000 and won the criminal case after a year. I faced the juvenile courts and faced a dirty judge and a dirty social worker. My case went to a juvenile court and my case continued at the juvenile courts after my case was dismissed in the criminal court. I stayed fighting for the return for my children for many years and had no justice but the same old slanderous remarks from the social workers time and time again. One bench judge and no jurors and the courtroom was locked on me and I was given a plan with no justice. A ghost of the past.
Thoughts of the unconscious mind within Senator Nancy Schaefer. I understand many parents' problems past and present, and you lost your parental rights to your children and you left the courtroom sad and hurt, and you was alone to face the world with no help. No politician at the time wanted to help you. You were alone. You found yourself looking at what you could have done better and what had gone wrong with your past. You became sick with an ulcer after years fighting the juvenile courts. You then decided to walk away after years of battling the juvenile courts and justice. So now it is the year 2012 and your inner self has gone through your past to the present and you stand here facing in me and your inner thoughts of me.
What happened to Senator Nancy Schaefer from Georgia? Did financial problems were the problems, or was the real truth she had spoken out for women's rights regarding child protective services? Did someone where she lived wanted her to shut up? Who wanted Senator Nancy Schaefer to stop her political speeches? Could it be the Child Protective Services from the city, county, state where she had lived in Georgia? Was it the police department in her hometown? Could it be the sheriff department in her hometown? Was it the gatekeeper where she had lived in the gated community, where there was a golf course setting that surrounded her home where she lived, her and her husband? Who was the people that the Senator Schaefer knew at the time? Who came to her home at the time? Was it a hitman or was it her beloved husband that just wanted to end his own life and himself? Senator Nancy Schaefer was a woman that was going against the state of Georgia and all the cities and counties and state child protective services.
Dreams will follow as long you shall follow my dreams for justice for the family's best interest.
I feel her important words and I will provide the dreams that Senator Nancy Schaefer left off. I will continue to fight for the rights of women and children to keep the innocent families out of the foster care system. Your dreams, Senator Nancy Schaefer, has not been forgotten.
Within the past and present, fighting for equal protection of the laws, the rights for families to have due process of laws, and our constructional protection that has been need to be carried on because of this injustice of the juvenile courts abuses and not allowing parents to have a fair juvenile courts and taken their children many times over and over without equal protection of law.
We must protect our parental rights and have equal protection of the law. We must not be afraid to stand up for our rights and not let the police and social workers and healthcare worker and schools and business and neighbors and family and friends officials who could be involved in false reports to only steal our children.
As people have looked up to me, just learn and listen how cruel one can be to say and do the things that have been done. We must continue to fight for our rights in the child protective services and justified system.
To all who can follow this letter, write to your state, county, city child protective services agencies. The letter is followed. I am writing you this letter asking your state and county, sites agencies, to stop the abuses of the child protective services. This is a demand notice and it is needed for your agencies to stop the abuses regarding innocent parents and children. We want you to listen to our voices and listen to what the people have to say. It is time for a new child protective services being placed, and we the people are asking for changes in the child protective services. This is a demand notice and your agencies are being placed on alert. Your juvenile courtrooms are closed and we need jurors and discovery. We want due process of law and fairness in the juvenile courts. With respect to former Senator Nancy Schaefer from Georgia.
Then don't wait, please don't forget what we have been fighting for and continue the fight.
Senator Nancy Schaefer sought to expose the stealing of children by the Child Protective Services Mafia. Senator Nancy Schaefer was found shot dead with her husband. Was she really troubled by financial problems? Or was that only an excuse to get away with Nancy Schaefer murder and no investigation? According to reports by Georgia Police Department investigators, Bruce Schaefer shot his wife to death as she was laying sleeping Friday morning, said Saturday Media. Her Bersham County sheriff said the daughter, who lived in the same gated community as the parents, she had discovered their bodies in the bedroom about 5:30 p.m. Friday. A handgun was used in the shooting and was found near Bruce Schaefer's body. An autopsy showed Senator Nancy Schaefer died from a gunshot wound to her back and that her husband had died from a gunshot wound to the chest. Authorities believe Senator Nancy Schaefer was asleep. She was shot. Sunshine on your shoulder. Senator Nancy Schaefer can make you happy with the people on your side. Your legend. Senator Nancy Schaefer had an inside job and the cops knew something, and so does CPS, Child Protective Services in Georgia and others.
Georgia Police Department has a lot of explanation.
Our country is a land of freedom and we must look for a way to protect the rights of families in America. Every county and state and city of the Department of Human Services is involved in this, and state oversees city and county child protective services, but the state does not want to do anything about the situations in the state agencies. In California, where I live, is also responsible for abusing many innocent families, and the child protective services and the agencies are responsible also. The state of California, where I live, is responsible for also destroying families and including my life. How dare them to keep stealing children from families?
Not much of an investigation, as if the CPS, along with the undermining of the authorities, need to take responsibility for their actions of abusing families in the community.
Social workers prying into one's life. Social workers prying in one's life. When will they learn? When the laws tell them?
My, we have a long road ahead of us with this fight, and we needs to continue this fight with tomorrow generations of families.
Why did the investigator of the Georgia Police Department did not rule it out as a possible murder case?
The answers will lie on the extension search for the truth in the gated community where I lived, along with others, should have been investigated. And the answer lies within the truth, but you see, it has to deal with money and power and control of the children in this country, and the power lies within each state, and each state is responsible for their own budget, and the budget lies within the children. The more children in the foster care, the more money each cities and counties, states would stay in the budgets. Our community is not caring for families and keeping the families together.
In 1986, Nancy Schaefer founded a nonprofit organization called Family Circle Concerns. Nancy served 2 terms. Senator Nancy Schaefer was the 5th district in the District of Georgia.
Speak up for those who cannot speak, for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute.
Nancy Schaefer was 73 years old, was Republican, who represented a North Georgia district for 2 terms. She was a prominent conservative known as a vocal opponent of abortion and same-sex. Nancy Schaefer was a great lady, and she will always be remembered for her great work for caring for families that was locked in the cracks of the juvenile court system. View my books and read the movie, available on Amazon.com.